Welcome, friends, to the Someone Gets Me podcast. I am your host, Dianne Allen, and I am so delighted that you're here. This podcast was created because I believe there is a visionary leader inside each one of us who is waiting to be seen. In each episode of Someone Gets Me, you will hear useful tips from successful visionaries who will share their stories about how being seen has allowed them to take their vision out into the world with action. Welcome everybody, it's Dianne here with a great interview for you. So you probably want to spend some time sitting down, getting some tea and listening to this amazing woman. I'm in Houston right now, so you might hear a little bit of noise in the background, and I'm at this amazing conference for gifted people called SING, Supporting Emotional Needs of Gifted, which I spoke at today. Well, I met this amazing woman and her name is Autumn, and she is so cool. She's from Colorado, and I've got her here with me. I ambushed her, and I am sitting in the lobby with her, and she is going to share with you some amazing things that you are going to be so happy to hear about, because I know a lot of us sometimes need to feel safer and less anxious and less depressed, and she's amazing. Wait till you hear her voice. So Autumn is from Colorado. She's a massage therapist and a really cool mom of a really cool kid, because she's shown me some cool videos of him, and I don't know much more about her other than when you meet her, it's a magical connection. So I'd like to welcome to this show my very new cool friend, Autum Romano. Welcome.
Dianne, thanks for having me. It's like so great to be here. I'm so glad I met you.
I know, it's amazing. You know how you run into people, and the synergy of our connection is amazing. So tell us a little bit about who you are. Like, how did you get where you are, and all the fascinating road to get you to where you are, and then we'll talk about specifically who you are and what you do.
Okay. So I've been a massage therapist for 22 years. I felt called to this. I was 17. So since I was 18, I've been doing massage therapy, taking care of people. I am a constant student of the human body, and it's really kind of easy for me to understand what's going on for people. So I'm always collecting data, and I'm really curious about how they move, how they're feeling, how their emotions are impacting that, and how life is sort of landing on them, landing on their body and impacting their health. I have a super great family, and I have a 15-year-old that's taken me on this wonderful journey of self-discovery. We're homeschooling right now. He's doing great. He teaches me so much. Yeah, and it's really impacted, of course, my life, but also the work that I do, and how I want to show up in the world, and how I want to help people, and how I want to continue to grow and help other people.
Oh, that's amazing. And you just made a comment that I find really interesting, and you were talking about how emotions in life land on the human body.
Yes.
And could you talk a little bit about what that means to you, and what do you mean landing on the body? Because I think I understand what you're saying, but not every listener will really understand it. So what does that mean? Like, how can you tell what's landing on the human body? Maybe if you have an example that you could share, that would be nice.
Well, okay, so I'll just use my family. We were at Hot Springs, I don't know, like a year ago with my husband, and we were at like a smaller group, and we were sitting in the hot springs with, I don't know, maybe like 6 people, and we walked away, and my husband and I were having a conversation about it, and he was talking about everything that the man said. I think he was a pilot. And I was like, but could you tell that when he said this, he was really upset about it, and he seemed kind of scared and a little bit angry, and maybe he had some resentment. And my husband just looks at me and he was like, what? I said, you didn't know that was going on for him? And so it was just really interesting. I feel like all the time I'm understanding that, like, when I'm having a conversation with someone, I'm reading their body language. I don't even know that I know all the markers, but I'm taking in all of their feelings in addition to all of their words. And so for my husband, he is taking in language only. Or my son, who has autism, we might walk into a room and I might be really curious about someone and want to meet them. And so if someone is coming up to us, I might be really excited, and I might look at them in the eyes and stick out my hand and introduce myself. And my son might be having like a sensory overload moment, and so he's not going to want to take out his hand to shake a stranger's hand, or he might not want to look in their eyes. So that situation is landing on his body in a totally different way than it's landing in my body.
Oh, that makes so much sense. So your body's kind of being drawn toward it and really like wanting to engage, where his body is saying, no, I think I'm going to stand back over here, or maybe even leave. And if your husband was standing there, he would just be figuring and thinking and looking at the words like on a whole different level.
Yeah, maybe more intellectual. Like words might be more at face value. Yeah. Where, I mean, words are only part of my experience, and maybe a smaller part. Maybe a smaller part.
Right. So, and that's a really important point that I think a lot of people kind of miss in our culture and in the world in general, is that there's much more going on than just words. I always say it's like 20% words and the rest of it is what's going on.
Yeah.
And part of what makes you a really talented massage therapist is that you study the human body so much, but it's also the spirit and the animation and the emotion and the energy going through it. Like I noticed that when I first walked up to you and met you, your eye contact and your presence and engaging with you was very comfortable and easy. It wasn't like, you know, in some conferences where everybody's just handing out stuff or whatever, it wasn't like that meeting you, and you can tell that you really resonate on that level. So tell us a little bit about your headphones you have in your hands.
Yes.
I she'll have to describe them to you because this is an audio podcast.
Yes.
But I got to try these magical things, and I know it has to do with the vagus nerve, which I'm fascinated by, and I know how important it is. And tell us what the protocol is, tell us a little bit about it, and what kind of effects do people get? It's fascinating. I've tried them out this morning, you guys, and I have headphones in my bags to go home with me. That's how much I'm into these things.
Yay.
So let's hear from Autumn about them.
So the Safe and Sound protocol is a 5-day auditory intervention. You listen to music for 1 hour a day, 5 days in a row. It's engineered, it's highly filtered. It's songs you know from the radio. Dan really was excited about them, which is great. We have Midnight Train to Georgia and Mr. Postman. But they are highly filtered by Dr. Porges. He is a neurologist. He's the one who wrote the Polyvagal Theory. So he gives us a deeper explanation of the vagus nerve and how the nervous system affects, the physiological aspects of how our body functions, how we feel safe in an environment or don't feel safe, how our digestive system works, our heartbeat, our ability for social engagement, our ability for resting, for learning, for being creative. So it's this huge explanation for how the vagus nerve impacts our whole lives, our well-being, our physical well-being, and our ability to connect. So he created this auditory intervention. This is his. And I use it in my massage therapy practice in Colorado Springs. People can come in my room, they wear the headset, they get their massage 5 days in a row, and then I also support them at home. During that 5 days, I have them do some self-reflection at home so that they can continue to process what comes up for them. Some people have like a history of anxiety or a PTSD, or maybe they're just looking for a better opportunity for state regulation. They want to be calmer. They want to be healthier. They want to show up in their relationships as the best version of themselves most of the time. So I'll have people doing that. Also working through some physical pain. I have people who are just working through some injuries or maybe a surgery, and listening to the Safe and Sound protocol while they're on the table calms their nervous system, which also is going to reduce the tension in their muscles, so we can kind of unravel what's going on for them. So that's one of the things that I do. I also send it to people in the mail and support individuals, couples, families at home who want to listen to the protocol. So I ship the unit to them, like Dan's going to take it home. She started day 1 today, and then tomorrow she'll do day 2, and then day 3, and day 4, and day 5. So I'll be talking with her over the phone. We can email too. Phone is best because we cannot co-regulate through email. Okay, screens are not co-regulation. And co-regulation is where we're finding safety within another person's nervous system. We can do that over the phone. FaceTime's great, but even through voice, I can tell what's happening with their vagus nerve and what's happening with their nervous system by their voice. The prosody of our voice speaks to how we're feeling, if we're feeling safe or not, if we're feeling engaged. So yeah, that's mostly how I'm using the Safe and Sound protocol. I'm supporting people at home who I'm a long distance provider, and then also in my massage practice in Colorado Springs.
Oh, that's amazing. Safe and Sound protocol and the vagus nerve. I have learned so much about it, and I've already had all this fascination. And so when I ran into Autumn and I started looking at her books on her table and what she had happening, I'm like, I have to try that. And those of you who know me know I try practically everything if I think it's going to have value, and this has great value. And she did a massage with me today with the headphones on this morning early, and I've got up feeling completely different in a really neat, nice way. And I'm away from home, and it's been very stressful. The food hasn't been all that great here. I can't wait to get on the airplane and go home in a little while, and so my system's off. And I feel more on, like I feel more aligned already. And that was just day one. And the music in it is great. I was like singing along some of the time, and it was so fun to like reminisce. I mean, there was Cat Stevens and Carole King and like all of these people that I know their music. And so it was familiar and it was comfortable. It wasn't like listening to just beeps or some kind of weird sound or something like that where it felt odd to me at all. It was very familiar and very comfortable. And so I can't wait to see what the 5 days is. Maybe we'll have to do another interview after the 5 days.
Oh yes, a follow-up. How's Dianne doing? Part 2.
Yeah, I think that would be a really good idea. That'd be awesome. And so you work with people long distance.
Correct.
And you send this unit to them from
Correct.
Colorado Springs. And so any of you who might be interested in working with Autumn or even meeting her or engaging in this kind of protocol, if you have any kind of anxiety or depression or disconnection in the vagus nerve area, which is probably all of us on some level, then it would be really fun for you to reach out to Autumn. The other thing that I find very fascinating about this, and you might want to say some more about it, was when you were speaking about families doing it together, and you have a picture here of a family where I guess you have a splitter on it or something, and they're all listening. They all have headsets, and they're all listening to it together. And so the family is coming into a better harmony, right? So say a little bit about how this could help, like parents and a child, or a couple in a relationship or something like that, where there's more people involved than just a single person.
Yeah. Well, and that was, I realize now a pattern of mine is to learn about something and then I immediately start thinking like, how could this be better? Or how could I be using this in a different way than other people are using it? Not necessarily to be different, but how could it be better? And oftentimes this protocol is used, you want to be in a therapeutic presence with another person, but it's often a clinician and then one person. So sort of in isolation. I mean, yes, you're with a person, but one person is listening. And I want families to listen together because we are finding safety or not safety within other people's nervous systems. And so when we are listening together, we are co-regulating. So it's a beautiful opportunity for like nervous system bonding, basically, because you're sitting around, we're not talking, right? And we're listening together. And then you can do activities, you can play cards. You don't want anything that's too neurologically challenging. You don't want to read or play like a difficult card game, but maybe an easy card game. So it's time together for 5 days in a row, which is great. Everybody's nervous system is you're going to upregulate your parasympathetic. And I mean, yes, you're going to bond, but it's more than that. It's your nervous systems getting to a place of safety individually and then together. So we, as mammals, we are always using other people's nervous systems if we're regulated, and we find safety in other people's nervous systems. This is why a child is sad or hurt and they come into your arms. This is when you're talking to your friend and you touch their shoulder. You are offering your nervous system to their nervous system to say, it's going to be all right. And we do this through our eyes, we do this through our voices, we do this through our body, through holding hands or hugging. So when families get to listen together, it's so beneficial for the relationship and then as individuals.
Oh, that's perfect. So I'd like you to define the term co-regulating, because you've
Okay.
used it more than once, and I'm not sure people understand what co-regulating means. What does that mean?
So when you have a child that's sad or a friend that's sad, they're dysregulated. So dysregulation is you're angry, you're irritable, or you're shut down. I mean, you can have like a real flat face, maybe not have a lot of expression in your face, downcast eyes, real flat, low tone of voice. So those are all signs of dysregulation. And then when you have someone who feels like, you know, they have some gas in the tank and they're feeling okay, they're not. So if someone gets mad and then you get mad, you're dysregulated. Their dysregulation has triggered some dysregulation in you. So when someone is upset, and then we can think our way through it instead of feel our way through it. I mean, we can feel our way through it, but not be hijacked to our emotional response. So you have a hurt child, sad friend, you can go to them. You might, you know, if it's a kid, you get down on their level. You soften your voice. Motherese. I mean, when we talk to our children or to our animals, like, oh, hi, I love you. And then we are using our voices to help make them feel better. That is co-regulation. We use our voices, we use our bodies, we hug. It's, this nervous system isn't doing well, it's dysregulated, and then I'm going to offer my nervous system to them as a lifeline, and now they're going to help feel more regulated. So that is co-regulation. It's why timeouts don't work. I mean, when we have our kids who are struggling and we isolate them, they're not able to self-regulate. They can't come out of that dysregulation alone. They need us. So it's our job to be there for them.
I'm really glad you said that, because so many times people, like, you know, have that old training of just go away and fix it, or go away and do that. And I always say all the time, you know, that our human brain is meant to be connected to other human brains. And so, you know, I'm going to start expanding that more and saying just our being is meant to be connected in all these other ways.
Yes.
And so when we're in the presence of somebody, then we're experiencing with them whatever is going on, knowingly or unknowingly. You know, like some people aren't aware of it, and some people are acutely aware of it, but that doesn't mean it's not happening.
No, it's happening, whether we like it or not. Always.
So those of us who are kind of in the know, we're like, okay, we know it's happening whether we like it or not, so we might as well cooperate with the system.
Yeah, you know? Use it.
Yeah, use it in our favor.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Okay, so I think we have a really good idea. So what we're going to do is then we're going to pick up this interview after I've done all 5 days, and then I can share a little bit about what my experience is, and I'll journal about it along the way.
Oh, perfect.
And that'll be perfect, right?
Yes.
And then we can talk some more about how this is beneficial to all different kinds of people.
Yeah.
And ways that we can use it for the betterment of all of us.
Yes. Yes. I mean, we help create peace within ourselves, within our relationship, within our community, within the world. I mean, it's like one nervous system at a time. If we can increase our own self-regulation, then we get to co-regulate with everybody. I know this sounds wild, but this is how we help create world peace. We do it in ourselves. We do it in a relationship. This is where it starts.
It's where it starts at home.
It does.
And at home as in our own system, moving out into the world.
Yes.
So before we end this segment of it, I think it's going to be fun to have it done this way. Is there something that you would like to say to all of the listeners on your heart that you would like to leave them with for this piece of it? A message of some kind, or inspiration, or whatever. Is there anything that you would like to say?
Just be so kind to yourself, and know that you deserve to feel safe. It's your birthright. It is our birthright to feel safe, all of us.
That's perfect. It's our birthright to feel safe. And some people don't even know what safety is because the world's been so chaotic around them. And so Autumn comes to us with an amazing message. I have goosebumps hearing it. So you've been listening to Autumn Romano, and her first name is spelled Autum Romano, Romano. And her website is autumnromano.com, which will be in the show notes.
Wonderful.
along with how to follow her on her social media. And you may want to check her out because what you're going to learn about her is really amazing. And so thank you, Autumn, for taking the time out of this conference and being here in the middle of all of this to do this interview and really share something that I think is a really profound thing that can help a lot of the visionaries that Someone Gets Me podcast serves. And we'll do part 2 and we'll put it all in one big show. It'll be really fun.
Thanks, Dianne. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
All right, everybody. So for you, it'll only be a few seconds. For us, it's going to be for 4 more days, plus however many days it takes for us to connect before you get to hear the rest of it. So when it picks back up, you'll get to hear how my 5-day trial of the Safe and Sound protocol has worked for me, and then you can see how it would work for you or maybe somebody you know. So until next time, remember to keep your face to the sun so the shadows fall behind you, because you are a rock star, and go out there and share your gifts. Bye. Well, welcome back, everybody. It's Dianne and Autumn again. And for us, it's been about a week. For you, it's been a few seconds to be able to hear some of the follow-up from my interesting 5-day music listening SSP program, and also some more information about things that are important to Autumn and who she is as this amazing person. And so I want to start off a little bit with a little bit more about Autumn that I've learned about. And then I'm going to share a little bit about my experience, and I'm going to ask Autumn to kind of dialogue it or maybe narrate a little bit of how come or why. Because I have spoken to her in between, and she's explained some of it to me. And I think it's really important, and I'm pretty well educated on these things, and I didn't know some of this. So there's a lot of benefit in having a beginner's mind. There's a lot of benefit in, even as experienced I am with 40 years of experience, still staying open and teachable and listening and learning, because I'm learning things that I never knew, some of it brand new, some of it extra. But I'm really grateful I have a beginner's mind, because it would be real easy to say, I've been doing this longer than you've been alive, girl. And she's teaching me cool stuff. So that's true, Autumn. And so what I've learned about Autumn is that she has such a great passion for helping people and everything. And you probably heard her in the first part of the interview. I don't know if you caught it when she said it, but she said something in the first part of this podcast episode of my first interview with her that is still present in my mind when I see her, think of her. And she said that she really pays attention to how life lands on people. And that is an essential, amazing ability and connection and awareness. And so I respect that in you, Autumn.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so let me tell you a little bit about what happened. So as we said before, I did the 5 days, 1 hour a day listening with the headphones on to the Safe and Sound protocol, that music. It was so fun. Some of the music was great. Now, there were a couple kind of weird, overly twangy country things, and there was one that bordered on rap a little bit where I'm like, it's a little tight. But it wasn't bad. All of it was pretty interesting. So Autumn told me that day 3 would be pretty intense. And day 3 was not that intense for me. It was day 4. And I can tell you that I have never in my life ever felt as calm, peaceful, and centered as I did during the 5 days and after it. It's breathtaking to me that with all the meditation that I do and all of the work I do on myself and have done over my whole life, that there's a level of profound inner stillness that has transcended all of the deep other work I've done. And Autumn, you explained to me something about, I can't remember how you were saying it, something about before and after the event or something. How come that is like that this music can have that kind of deep effect, even though I'm a meditator and stuff? How does that work?
So a lot of times when people are confused about why SSP can have such a profound shift so immediately, they're thinking of neuroplasticity. So we are not creating new pathways during SSP. all of the groundwork is already there. You pick up the train and you put on a new track. So it's immediate, and it's oftentimes pretty profound, like it was with you, that you have this immediate sense of calm. So the tracks for your calm have always been there. They are a part of your genetic makeup. Your train just hasn't been on that track. So the music picked your train up and moved it to a different track. And the scenery is different there, right? It's calm. And that's, yeah, so that's the difference. It's not building neuroplasticity. It's all of those pathways are already there. So you were in more of what we would call a mobilized state. And then you were in an immobilized state. Immobilization with safety.
So that would be the immobilization with safety is when you're kind of in that fight or flight scenario.
So mobilization is fight or flight. So mobilization is irritability, anger, anxiousness, where we feel where our digestive system isn't working very well. Maybe we're constipated, or diarrhea. I actually just heard an interview with Dr. Porges when he was saying that, so the diarrhea is, that's a blue, like a shutdown state. It comes from the parts of our nervous system that we share with reptiles, the oldest parts of our nervous system, where it's shut down. It's an even less regulated state than mobilization. It's a feigning death. It's a blue shutdown. So anyways, our digestive systems are going to function differently in the blue shutdown or in kind of that red mobilized state. And then the music puts us into a green state. So it's immobilization with safety. So intimacy is immobilization with safety. So being able to hold eye contact with someone, that's immobilization with safety. That inner state of calm that you had is immobilization with safety. So if people have a severe trauma history, that's why it's really important that SSP is done with someone, a trauma-informed therapist, if they have a severe trauma history, because when they get into that immobilized state, that might not feel safe. Maybe they were hurt by somebody when they were immobilized. And so their nervous system is going to be like, oh, no. Mobilization is better. This is when I can defend myself.
Got it. So the value in doing SSP with a trained person with you, like you being a trained person that can help move it through, can't be overstated. Like I did it with my dog, and all of that. But I also knew that I also know how to regulate myself pretty well, and I can handle myself in pretty good structure that way. And I've also spent a lot of time processing it with you. Like I'm not going to process it on this podcast interview. And I want all the listeners to understand that this is not something that you just, listen to fun little music and it has no effect on you and there's nothing to say, because that's not the case.
Right. And we did our first session together. So I hadn't even decided that I would be like, hey, do you want to, continue this on your own? Our first session went so well that I had absolute confidence that no matter what came up, you were going to be okay, and you were going to reach out if you needed support. And so our first session together was the foundation for the decision to be like, hey, I think that you would do great listening at home.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And the interesting part was all my profound experiences were the conspicuous absence of tension and stress and stuff. It was like a calm, like I've never experienced. And it felt a little awkward at first. I remember one time my brain going, well, am I bored? Or I really needed to rest a couple days, like really just lay low and rest. And I let myself do that.
Good. Did you have to coach yourself into it?
No, but I had to watch my brain from trying to stop it. Like, well, we have to be doing something.
Right. Bring you back to the mobilized state, which was more familiar.
Yes. So that I had to pay attention to.
Good.
But there was no part of me that was going to give into it. But I did notice that. And I really loved it. And then after that, since I've been done with the protocol now for a while, a week now, I guess, realized that when something triggers that whole response again, I feel it much more. I'm much more aware of it, of the energy shifts. And I was asking you about, and I want you to talk about this. I was asking you about like when it gets triggered and I feel that energy in, and then I can meditate and breathe, but it doesn't seem to relieve it in the same way that the SSP protocol does. And you explain that difference. Would you explain that difference again?
Yeah. So our vagus nerve is 80%, or sorry, our vagus nerve is the largest nerve in our body, and 80% of that vagus nerve starts in our viscera, in our vital organs. And so it is taking in information from our environment and then sending that up to our brainstem. And from that, our autonomic nervous system makes choices. So that is going to regulate, well, it will affect your mood, and it will affect your heartbeat. It will affect your digestion. There's a vagal brake on our heart. So all of that, your body is totally responding. Your brain is totally responding before you have a thought. You are not in the higher part of your thinking brain yet. It is this, it's pre-thought. Your nervous system is literally scanning the environment for cues of danger or cues of safety and making decisions before you even get to have an opinion. So your meditation and your breath work is imperative and wonderful, and it is always behind your autonomic nervous system. It is always behind your vagus nerve, always. You can't meditate enough to get in front of your vagus nerve. It's not possible. So SSP is totally different because SSP is regulating how your vagus nerve is working. And then you get to use your thoughts, because there is no such thing as living in the green state always. You cannot be 100% regulated. That's like not a thing. Well, I mean, I don't think. Maybe like the Dalai Lama is. I don't know. That would be cool to check. But for the rest of us, you are going to fluctuate in and out. And so your mindfulness practices, they will help you with your interoception, right? You'll be like, oh, I'm having that feeling in my stomach or that feeling in my chest. That means I'm anxious, I'm angry. Or for me, I have a history of dissociation. So I have to know that numb feeling, and I have to be like, oh gosh, that's what's happening. And then I have to find a way to get out of it. So like anxiety for me, because I also have anxiety disorder and panic disorder, I can use mindfulness practices to get out of that mobilized state. I can breathe. I put my hands on my heart, my chest. Dissociation, that blue shutdown, is a little different. I need a person. I need to hold the hand of a loved one. And it's incredible. The few times that my son has been with me when I've had a panic attack and then I dissociate, he'll ask, how can I help? And I say, just hold my hand. And the moment our hands touch, I'm like, oh, and it breathes life into me. I go from like black and white into color. And it's because from the Polyvagal Theory, what this has now taught me is that I'm using his nervous system to find safety. And so that blue shutdown state, it's its own conundrum. We really do. We need people to pull ourselves out of that dissociated state. So there's a couple of different tools. Other people's nervous systems, that's what we call co-regulation. When you hug someone and it feels good, and then you stay on just a little bit longer, it's maybe about 5 seconds, and then that thing happens where you're like, oh, that's co-regulation. That's your body just used your nervous system, your vagus nerve, just used their nervous system, their vagus nerve, to find safety, and that's co-regulation. It's the same as laughing. When we were like laughing our heads off, it sang, and then afterwards you're like, oh, I feel really like bubbly and light in my chest. That's co-regulation, even though we weren't touching because laughter is uses reciprocity. When you don't laugh the same in isolation, they've done all this science around it, and so that's the same thing. When we laugh in response to other people, and so our nervous systems are co-regulating together through laughter.
Oh, that's amazing. And you just confirmed something for me. I didn't even know what I was doing, but I have this little thing, especially when I used to run and be the director of large substance abuse treatment centers and everything. everyone who's ever met me loves my hugs. And, oh, I want a Dianne hug. I want a Dianne hug. And some people,
that's what you're doing.
and some people will do 2 or 3 hugs at a time, right? Like one after the
Yes.
other. Well, this is great. I used to hug people. I still kind of do it, but I really did it when I was in a treatment center. All these people are just trying to get sober and they're so fragile. I would hug them, and I would hug them until they breathed out and they finally relaxed. And I wouldn't let them go. I would make them hug me until they took a breath and they relaxed. And I didn't have the words about co-regulating and understand. I intuitively knew.
Yes.
If I could just get them to just breathe, just relax, it's going to be okay. And I remember sometimes even whispering, it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Yeah. And that's what I was doing. Oh, nice.
Yes. Well, and that was it. I'm a deep empath, and I just watch people. In all the ways, their people's bodies just talk to me. I understand when people are walking, how they're hurting. And because of my long history in massage therapy, and I'm a forever student of anatomy and physiology, sometimes I'll understand the mechanics behind it, like, oh, their ankle is frozen and that's why they're doing this or that. So I'll break down body mechanics, but I also just understand people's feelings. And sometimes I feel their feelings like they're my own. I have to be very cautious because I can literally just absorb somebody's emotions and they feel like mine. So through all of this, and then my son has autism, and so his vagus nerve is going to function a little bit different than somebody who's neurotypical. And I had this, this vault of information, because I keep the stories of people and their suffering inside of my brain and my body. And when I found out about the Polyvagal Theory and I read it in its entirety, I was like, oh my gosh, this gives language for every single thing that I've always known but never fully understood. So I knew all of it. I didn't have the science. And so, and Dr. Porges talks about our gut feelings being neuroception. And that's our vagus nerve, scanning the environment. Well, I have a lot of neuroception. I would love to talk to him about this more one day, because I've got some questions about it. But, he talks about that as intuition. Mm-hmm. That the neuroception can be interchangeable with intuition. So that's very interesting. I'm still exploring that in my own mind and in my own life. But yeah, it's we already know all of this. This is how we are integrated. This is how there is no such thing as like this body, mind, spirit 33.3%. There's just like, no. I mean, just how we're learning in the body work world about how our fascia is literally connected inside of everything. There's no like, oh, this is muscle, this is fascia. No. It is interwoven. Our emotions and our experience of our environment is interwoven into all parts of us. And the polyvagal theory gives us the science to name what we already knew. Some of us already knew.
Yes, that's absolutely true. Absolutely. I completely agree with you. So I'm going to put together a group of people, and we're going to bring you to Florida
Can't wait.
To do a special retreat around this, because it's really a powerful change agent. And so if somebody doesn't believe what we're talking about, like they think we're crazy, that's okay. They're allowed to. And I could get them to Florida, and we get them to do a little work with you with the headphones on and everything. Would it work?
Yes. Oh, you don't have to believe in it. But I do so in my, on my website, I put a lot of different resources, because I am a full-time homeschool mom to a neurodiverse kid. I am trying to always present information in ways that feel accessible to each person. So on my website, I also link a lot of YouTube videos or podcasts. I have the peer-reviewed research about SSP. So, I have physicians that are clients that are going to prefer the medical reports. I have some testimonials on my website if people like hearing from other people. So there's a lot of information on my website that's going to give you, your preferred medium. But no, it doesn't, you don't have to believe in it. That's what's kind of cool. It works anyways. We all have a vagus nerve, and our SSP is going to change it. Now, this is all happening in real time. So every single day when I read other case reports or I'm on forums, I'm learning something literally every single day that I didn't know the day before, either through my own practice with my own clients or with other SSP practitioners. And so it works different for everybody. So there's no hard fast rule about what is going to happen. It is, we don't always know, but it will upregulate your parasympathetic. So if you're in a very blue shutdown state, some people don't feel a lot after one round. I just learned this yesterday. If people are really suffering from some pretty severe depression, sometimes they need 2 rounds before they start noticing a lot of changes. So I haven't had that yet in my practice, but I heard a couple of different practitioners saying that. So it kind of depends on what state you're in, but no, you don't have to believe in it for it to be effective. It's just science.
I love it. And so Autumn mentioned her website, and her website is autumromano.com, and her first name is Autum, and Romano is ROMANO.com. And I will put a link to her website in the show notes for you to just click on and investigate her website. I've been on just about every page of it myself, and I've already given it to a lot of people, and they're like fascinated. And so there you have it. It will be in the show notes for you. So I have some other questions. Are you up for some other things?
Yes, this is so exciting. All day long. Let's do this all day long.
All day long. All right. This might have to be a multiple episode situation here. Maybe we'll do some interviews when you're in Florida after you work with some people.
Yeah.
So when you do a lot of healing and do a lot of work with people, and you're in the middle of energy at all, and you have a beautiful neurodiverse son and a great husband, what are some things that you do personally to keep your batteries charged and take care of you and keep you functioning in the way that makes you happy? Because you do a lot of things for a lot of people. What do you do for Autumn?
Oh my gosh, it's such a long list. So the better my life is, the more I need to do. I've learned this. So I get up really early and I meditate every day. At this point, I kind of used to listen to guided meditations, and I kind of go back and forth between them. But I listen to meditations and usually stretch, because being super still, I still don't really like it. Maybe in a few more SSPs I will. But at this point, I listen to guided meditations and I do some gentle yoga, like yoga nidra, or not, sorry, nidra, yin, like restorative yoga poses. And then I write in my journal every single day. That's mandatory. Sometimes I do stream of consciousness. Sometimes I answer some specific questions. And that between those two things, it gives me a lot of opportunities to process things that I haven't been able to process in real time. Again, because I'm getting so much information from the world. It's amazing. Like I could go to a gas station and ask for directions, and then they'll be telling me the directions, and I realize I'm not listening because I'm actually just like listening to their body. And I'm like, oh man, their shoulders are really hurting. I wonder if they know that. And are they sad, or do they have rotator cuff problems? And then I'm realizing, oh my gosh, they just told me directions and I wasn't listening. So anyways, I need contemplative time to just process like normal life, not even like trauma experiences, but just life. So I do that in meditation and in journaling. Yoga, oh my gosh, I need like all the yoga. I randomly got too busy over the last couple of weeks and didn't do enough yoga, and some dark behavior started popping up. Woof. And then I went to yoga and I was like, oh yeah, SSP does not replace yoga. Okay, they're two different things. So I have a pretty robust yoga practice. And nature, I need a lot of nature. So like my meditation and my journaling, I do in my backyard. So that's nature. And I live on a really busy street, but there's birds in my backyard. And so I can really tune into nature. Even in my massage room, I'll look outside and watch the clouds roll by. And that's, I will use nature as a tool for co-regulation. Yes, I just went camping last weekend. Even though we were really busy, I told my family, this is it, we're leaving. And we already live in Colorado. We already live in a super beautiful place, but we went to an even more beautiful place, Crested Butte, because this is when the wildflowers bloom. Oh my gosh. And we rode our bikes through wildflowers that are as high as your handlebars. It's just astounding. It's like not even possible. It's so beautiful. And we camped and I sat outside and just watched the sunrise. So yeah, nature. I play a lot. I move my body a lot. I need to move my body a lot. Lots of exercise, but like good exercise, not we can use exercise to numb. So I try to be really cautious about being moving my body with intent and respect. So yeah, body work. I get massages regularly. Sleep. Sleep. I'll do anything and everything to support my sleep. So I have a dream pad, which is so cool. I need to write a blog about it and put it on my website. Dream pads are these, and you, Dianne, you would love this. They are pillows that have music integrated into them, and it's not through sound waves, it's through bone conduction. It's the same organization that's I get SSP from, Integrated Listening System. They're out of Denver, but they just were purchased by Unite, which is a Canadian company. And Dr. Porges, who wrote the Polyvagal Theory, is the new scientific advisor for Unite. So I'm really excited to learn more about what they do. And that's going to be my newest thing. They have this interactive, like biofeedback meditation product. I don't know if you've ever tried it. You put a little clip over your earlobe and it measures your heart rate variability. And you use a tablet or a phone to get biofeedback about how effective your meditation is. And so that has everything to do with the vagus nerve. So anyways, that's what's next for me. But the Dream Pad uses, it's not the same technology as SSP because it affects your vestibular system because of the bone conduction, but it's the same as SSP in that it is giving input to your nervous system to be calm. And what I like about the Dream Pad is you don't have to find any more time to do it because you're already sleeping. So you just, you're already doing it. And I'm like a big fan of efficiency. So like I have the memory foam one and I brought it with me camping, like full on. I brought like my big expensive pillow, Dream Pad pillow camping because I'm super serious about my sleep. Because our bodies are designed, we have this intelligent design to heal. That's what's so cool about SSP is that all it's doing, again, so like the train, it's putting your train on the track for healing. Because when we feel calm, that's also when our body is restoring. And we can use medications all day long to try and replicate what our brain is already able to do when it's regulated. We create human growth hormones while we sleep. Our mood regulates while we sleep well, when we sleep well. So anything that we can do to support our sleep, we're actually helping our brain and our nervous system restore and repair and heal. Because we are always healing, always. Like until the moments you die, your body is still healing. That's what's so powerful about the innate intelligence and ability of our bodies to heal. Our bodies always want us to heal. And I don't even mean metaphorically. I mean like actual survival DNA.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, it's true. I believe that too. I believe that, that, I used to say all the time, I still say it once in a while, that we're carbon units and we're meant to live much longer than we do. And we're meant to keep restoring and healing and regenerating. That's, metaphysically what science is backing up, is that's what we're meant to do. And so when we're disintegrating or we're devolving or we're getting sicker or we're in more pain or more shut down, that's actually going against what we're designed to do. That's an actual situation where it's time to free up the system so it can heal itself, meaning reconnect itself to itself and do what it's supposed to do as our own body, as our own being.
Yeah, we can never, hopefully we'll never underestimate our body's capacity to heal. It's remarkable. I see people heal all the time and it's just so cool. It's probably the coolest part of my life. And just to like be witness to people healing is like, oh, heck yeah, of course you can do this. Yes, I never doubted it.
Oh, that's brilliant. And the people that you work with must feel so connected because you actually really support them in an authentic way and you get it. You get the power and importance of it too. And so that makes the experience much, I think, more user-friendly in that sense,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so if you were going to put a billboard on the side of the road and give yourself any question in the world, what are you going to put on it?
Oh my gosh, I write the question for the people?
You get to put the message on the billboard. What are you going to say? Everybody's going to drive by it.
Oh, yeah, this is my new one. I just came up with it last week. Your birthright is to find safety in your body.
Beautiful. Oh, I love it. Your birthright is to find safety in your body, that this is a safe place. We don't have to be on
Mhm.
alert all the time. I love
Right.
that.
And that is the deeper understanding of also what we're talking about, healing. So this is like your birthright is also to feel good, to feel safe, yes, in relationship, but also to just feel good, to like wake up and be like, woohoo, I'm awake. What am I going to do today? Like that. I mean, that is our birthright too, all of us.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, what is the most memorable food you've ever eaten?
Oh my gosh. Ever, like ever in my whole life.
Well, what pops in your head ever, right?
The first thing,
Mm.
okay, so I follow a ketogenic diet and I'm really in love with these homemade popsicles that I'm making. And they're full fat coconut milk with orange essential oil. And then this natural sweetener I get from the Chinese tea store. And they're called sweet leaves from some bush. Anyways, so it's very simple. It's just like coconut, full fat coconut with like wild orange essential oil, doTERRA essential oil, and that. And they're like these creamsicle amazingness. It makes me weirdly happy to eat them, like emotionally happy. And I'm not a real emotional eater. I don't know. Yes, that's it. My homemade creamsicle coconut popsicles.
That sounds delicious. So, I
I know.
think
I
I'm
wish I
gonna.
could give you one. I'll make some for you in Florida. I'll bring I have like a little tin. I'll bring my tin in my suitcase and I'll make them for all of us.
Oh, that'd be perfect. We all get a treat. Check it
I'm
out.
such a mom. I'm like, oh, mom, we'll travel with popsicles.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Okay, so is your heart thinking of anything that you would like to say to everybody before we end this part of the interview? This amazing episode that started in Houston at the Seng conference,
Yeah.
supporting emotional needs of gifted conference, where we met, and then I did the SSP, and then had this great experience, and now we've had this marvelous conversation. Is there anything
Mm-hmm.
that your heart would like to say to end this amazing episode?
Well, first, I'm just like so incredibly grateful for you and that we're friends. Oh, my heart's like bursting. So I'm really excited for our future and grateful for what we already have. Um, for everyone else, I think like my public service announcement is like, yes, you can dream for a bigger life. Like more wellness is totally available to us. And like if you're curious about this at all, read about it. Read about the vagus nerve. Find a form of information that's accessible to you. You know, if you're not a big reader, listen to a podcast. Learn more about this. Get curious about how your neurology is affecting how you feel in relationships, how you sleep, how you digest, how you respond to the world, how life lands on your body. Get curious about this and look into SSP. I mean, why not? It is such an incredibly powerful tool that, I mean, it really is life-changing. And so I would just encourage people to learn more about it and to really lean into this possibility of like how great can my life be? How well can I feel? How can I show up in my relationships as my best self? Because that's really when we're better regulated than when our loved ones are dysregulated around us, we get to think our way through. It's the same thing we were talking about with the deep breathing. So now if my son is dysregulated, maybe he says something that comes across as what other people would call rude. But because of his autism, that's just how he communicates. But if I'm regulated, I can stop and go, what happened 5 minutes ago? Like what happened 10 minutes ago? And then I can usually, if for him, he's overstimulated. Maybe it's the lights, maybe it's the sound, maybe he's tired. So yeah, I would guess that's it. Just to ask, for people to ask themselves, how much better could my life get? And am I willing to look into that and to explore that and to ask for a greater life for myself and to invest into decisions that support that? Because
Oh,
that's our birthright. This like amazing life.
That's cool. Awesome. Thank you so much. And Autumn, thank you for being on the show and being so willing both at the conference to take your time out and then again today to do the follow-up of this interview that just kind of idea popped in our head when we were talking together in Houston. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you.
All right, you've heard it. Autumn Romano from Colorado Springs, Colorado, and her amazing massage and practice and her SSP protocol. There's so much more to her. She's an amazing person. Check out her website, autumnromano.com. You can follow her on Instagram and Facebook. I will put all those links in the show notes and let her know you heard her on this podcast. She's an amazing person. You want to contact her, I'm sure of it. And so remember, everybody, until the next time, keep your face to the sun so the shadows fall behind you. You are a rock star here on purpose with a purpose. So let your light shine. It's time to make some noise and stop playing small. So until next time, you hear my wonderful voice with a great person to hear about. Be well. Thank you for listening. I trust you gained some valuable inspiration and information. Please join me and other visionaries in the Someone Gets Me Facebook group. Or for more information on my services and additional episodes, visit someonegetsme.com. Again, thanks for listening.